Rams fans, welcome in on this edition of Rams Showcase. I wish you would step back from that ledge, my friend. Plus, division, not wild card race. I think that's where we need to turn our attention. It's not as bad as you think. And later, Rams back on the road. We preview Rams at Patriots. Let's rock.
This is Rams Showcase with your host, Sheriff Joe Bags.
Yes, welcome to it, Rams Showcase. I am Sheriff Joe Bags at Rams Showcase, at Sheriff Joe Bags, ramshowcase.com. It's where you can follow along on social media. Heads up, a little bit later this week, I believe Friday evening, we'll be doing a live stream as we'll have a Patriots fan on with us. And this is going to be rather exciting. Tried to get this guy on about 4 years ago when the Rams and Patriots played the last time. It did not work out. But we are in contact again, and hopefully we can figure something out. We were going to put it into the show, but that didn't work out. So hopefully we get a live stream for you. If the very minimum, I want to hop on a live stream on his channel. So I will share all that stuff when we figure all that business out. Also, just a little bit of a preface of this entire show is I do have stitches in my mouth right now, and full-on miserable. One of the worst things I've ever experienced. But we're powering through. We're going to have a good show here and a great weekend of Rams football. But first, a quick question for you. And you have to answer as fast as you possibly can, okay? How many Rams logos can you spot right now? Too slow. All right? I don't know either, though. All right? In fairness, it would take a long time. Okay? I thought that was really funny. Somebody was like, how many Rams logos do you have in there? It's like, dude, yes. Yes, I do. Of course, though, Rams Patriots, we get that full game preview on the back end as, of course, right now, vibes a little less high than we were talking last week. Also, my big light went out, so it's probably, I don't know if it looks weird in here or not. I know I've got a bunch of crazy shadows going on right now. So it's going to be a few weeks till I get one of those in. These light bulbs that I have for my big lights here are actually illegal to sell in Colorado, and so I have to order them, and it takes a while and stuff like that. So we'll get those in. We'll be back in action full force as it popped as soon as I turned it on. It was good times. Good times. But let's go ahead and dive in. First and foremost, wanted to touch on this before we dive into anything on-field related, and that is, of course, the unfortunate news that we got on Monday that legendary Rams coach John Robinson, he did die at the age of 89. This was leading into the Rams game. We did get that notification during the Rams game, and obviously that's very unfortunate. Robinson is second all-time in wins as a Rams head coach. He was passed by Sean McVay just last month, so got to see his record be broken. And then, of course, our thoughts are with the Robinson family and everybody who was close to John Robinson. Absolute legend in the Rams world, in the Southern California world in general. So our thoughts definitely go out to his family. Let's go ahead and talk about what's happening on the football field, though. And right now, I need to touch on what happened last week with this Rams team, because if you have the internet, if you don't, you're not watching me. But if you have the internet, you probably know or have participated in some of the conversations involving the Rams and this Dolphins game that we had this past Monday. And, it was a frustrating game against Miami. There's not much else to say about it. The offense just couldn't get it rolling. We anticipate and expect, and maybe to a fault, in fairness, that this offense is just always going to be firing on all cylinders. With Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, we have Kupp, we have Puka, we got Kyron. We had our offensive line mostly healthy for this game. But the offensive line definitely did look rough. I do give some grace here, though. 60% of that offensive line had come back off of injury for this game, all right? So Jonah Jackson, Steve Avila, and Joe Noteboom all making their return to play in this football game. Obviously, Rob Havenstein, he did go out and did not play in this last game and may miss this next week as well. We kind of got that notification today on Wednesday that it's possible that Big Rob is going to be healthy enough to play in New England, but less likely than likely is what Sean McVay did say about that. But 60% of the line coming back off of injury, and there was some rust, clearly some rust, but that's all it was. I really firmly believe that. It was just some rust. Avila, Jackson, Noteboom, they were the right options. They are the better players. They just got to find their rhythm. Once they do, though, it'll be lights out. Play calling absolutely did them no favors. All right, the offensive line was having a rough day, and we didn't help them as much as we should have. All right, I'm looking at 46 passing attempts for Matthew Stafford, while there's only 15 rush attempts for Kyren Williams. I feel like we've watched the Rams long enough, most of us have, that we know that that's just not a recipe for putting together some dubs. All right, I think Sean knows that too, but I think Sean outthinks himself sometimes. I'm not sure if it was a bad game plan by us or just a great game plan by them. Those numbers, though, make me feel like it was more on our side of that. It just wasn't our day either way. I mentioned the offensive line. They may have some rust last week. We kind of talked about that of like, let's give these guys a little bit. We need to give them a few weeks before we're like, yep, they're back in action, man. Because you don't just get dropped off of IR, come back in, and just are who you were right away. It does take a little bit of time to get that rhythm going. And we can talk about Limmer and Didich and how well they were playing, but they also had a lot of continuity built up over the course of the season. So we just need to get that with the guys who are more talented. And I'm not trying to trash Limmer or Didich because those guys are awesome and they were playing great games in there. But these guys are our starters, are our starters for a reason, and they were given their jobs back upon getting healthy again for a reason. So, I mean, I realize that the internet thinks that the Rams are dead now, but I feel like this kind of game was just a nice wake-up call for these young guys. And I had mentioned that last week again, that like coming in off of a 3-game win streak, is this team going to come in a little too high on itself? Are we going to come in thinking that we're hot stuff and that we can't be beat, or are we going to keep on working? And it did feel like in this game, we kind of came in thinking that we were just going to kind of roll over the Miami Dolphins, and that's not the case. That's not what happened. Now 2-15 against those guys all time. Only win 76-01. Didn't get it this time. We'll get them again in 4 years. Maybe we can put it together that time. But Miami didn't even play that well. I think the Rams just kept shooting themselves in the foot. I know that Matthew Stafford said that after the game as well, but I absolutely agree. There was just some times in there where it was like, okay, that just didn't work out, or that block was blown, or that pass was not, in the right spot or whatever. There was a lot of that in the entire game, but Miami also just they weren't playing lights out or anything like that, because we had in my opinion, our worst performance. Maybe you can argue that Arizona game in week 2, our worst performance of the year, lost by 8 points. Obviously the Arizona game was a very different situation, but I also feel like that was Arizona being like, you are not doing this again. Right? Because we had just been beaten up on them for years, especially in Arizona. So Miami didn't even play that well. We just kept, burning ourselves. But we've got some positives, though. This young defensive line, they keep absolutely showing out, man. Roseboom has absolutely blossomed. And no pun intended. I know his name's Roseboom, and I said he blossomed. No pun intended, but I do love it. So maybe from now on it will be intended. But he's kind of taken off these last few weeks, and he and Omar look like the combo. He and Omar Spates look like the combo, so that's pretty good stuff there. We do got a game against a pretty weak opponent this week, so hopefully we can, kind of get a rebound game going, like Les Snead said on the Sean McVay show, the Les Snead show this week. But he kind of mentioned that of like, you got to get that bad taste out of your mouth, and you got to do it against a team that you should beat. This is the worst offense in the NFL. You should beat them. And if you don't, then that's when you got to start looking at some things. But you can get back up to 500, get a home primetime game the following week against Philadelphia, and maybe it's not so bad after that. You know what I mean? But also, one game's not just going to make me throw out the season, dude. I don't get it, man. I'm not there. I'm not there on that one, man. But you get, you win against New England. You're 500, primetime, home game, Philly, Sunday Night Football the following week. And then that game is really one. Like, if the Rams win both those games, are we really going to still be sitting here? It's like, yeah, but we were done after the Miami game, remember? Because we sucked after that game, and we're terrible, and it's all over. No, dude, it's week 10. When I'm not gonna go from flying high off of a 3-game win streak to just be like, oh, nope, we're dead in 1 week. I don't know. And maybe I'm not paying enough attention to stuff, all right? But I'm surprised at what I would call a dramatic overreaction by most of the fan base. And I'm not trying to sit here and say that you're being a bad fan or anything like that. We all just want our boys to do well. And when we are feeling good about them and they come in and look like that, can't put a touchdown up on the board, then of course we're like, what, are we dead? Did we die? And I'm just here to tell you that's not necessary. I just don't think that that's true. All right. Even if though, I'll play the game. Even if the playoffs are out of reach, even if we cannot make the playoffs, we've still got a chance to see a lot of progression from these young guys, and we still will for the rest of the season too. If we aren't going to make the playoffs, we still got to watch the Defensive Rookie of the Year's season unfold. Jared Verse is on fire, and if we're not going to make the playoffs, does that mean that we stop watching? I know myself that's not the case. Maybe for you that is the case, and that's totally fine. But I would say if you are one of those people that if the Rams are not going to make the playoffs or they're just not winning football games, you just check out entirely, maybe don't, because Jared Verse is having an incredible year, and this is going to be a year that we talk about for a long time. Remember how when I was talking about that in 2021 of like this Cooper Cup season, we're going to talk about this for the rest of our lives. This is similar to the Jared Verse rookie season. He's on fire. He's one of the best defensive players in the NFL right now, not just rookies or best Rams players. Like he's amongst the NFL, he's like top 5 in most statistical categories when you look at a pass rusher. We still get to watch Kupp and Stafford, though, rack up the milestones in their respective Hall of Fame careers. We still get to see Jalen McCullough and Cam Kinchins make sick plays in the secondary all year. These guys are absolute monsters out there. But I'm far from ready to toss out my playoff hopes, and honestly, I'm surprised so many have. I'm surprised that the vibes last week were met in one game with such a dramatic shift. And again, I'm not here to tell you how to be a fan. I'm just telling you I'm surprised that happened, that we were able to have that happen. One game where, in fairness, we did look rough on offense. That was a bad day on offense. That was a terrible day. All right? But that is not going to make me just all of a sudden be like, oh, it's over. I can't do it, man. I can't do it. I'm a little surprised that McVay can't have one bad day without everybody just wanting him fired. Last month, we are celebrating him becoming the Rams' winningest coach in franchise history. And now, one bad Monday Night Football game, we're like, get this clown out of here. Dude, what? I don't know about all that, man. We're just celebrating, dude. He's one of 2 coaches in this team's history to win a Super Bowl. But now we're just like, nah. He didn't do it against Miami, though, and they were only a 2-win team coming in, so get him out of here. I don't know, man. As for the playoffs, speaking of the playoffs and trying to get into that, the Rams in the wild card race, that does not look great, but I think this is where the media's eyeballs are, and this is where I'm going to tell you, I think that we're looking too deep in a wild card race, all right? We need to turn our attention just a little bit more closer to home, I think, into the division race, which is where I think that the Rams have the best chance to make the playoffs, which also brings us into the rest of the West. Time to see what those other 3 dweebs are up to. But we're talking about playoff time, of course, as not a lot of news coming out of any of these teams right now. The Arizona Cardinals, though, sitting in first place at 6-4, 2-0 in the division. They are coming off their 4th straight win, heading into the bye week this week. After the bye week, they will be in Seattle, in Minnesota, and then home against Seattle. So a couple of quick back-to-backs. Well, not back-to-back, but couple of quick ones there against the Seahawks, which obviously could lead to anything. Division games that close together could get rather interesting. The 49ers sitting in second place after their win this last week. They have won back-to-back games. They're 5-4, 1-2 in the division. They had a wild one last week against Tampa, which, I mean, that play by Baker where he was holding off Bosa and then completes the pass on 4th down. I was like, this is the coolest thing of all time. I was having like Thursday night football Baker versus Raiders vibes. And that one, that was absolutely incredible play. Obviously, it didn't work out. And homeboy missed a bunch of kicks and then made the last one. Of course, he does. But that was a heck of a game to watch at the very least. But hosting Seattle this week for the 49ers. Then they are in Green Bay November 24th. In Buffalo December 1st. So a couple of chilly games for the Seattle Seahawks. Your Los Angeles Rams 4-5, 2-1 in the division. They, of course, losing to Miami after winning 3 straight games. Young team. These things happen. And that's just kind of where we're at right now with the Rams. I don't even know if I talked you down off the ledge because I think all I did was just say, like, what are you doing? That's my like older cousin talk to you, like, well, what are we doing, man? What are we doing out here? It's fine. It's gonna be okay. This is one day, man. It's one day. Seattle Seahawks, though, sitting in 4th place in the NFC West, 4-5, 0-2 in the division, coming off a bye week this week in San Francisco. They have lost their last 2 games, entering their bye week in their next 3 after San Francisco. Of course, they will be hosting Arizona. They're on the road at the New York Jets, and then at home versus Arizona. Then they got that stretch where they were at home versus Green Bay, then Minnesota, and then in Chicago. So tough stretch for the Seattle Seahawks. Still tight race though. Rams sitting at 4-5. The Arizona Cardinals sitting at 6-4. So let's not pretend like we're out of that race at all. We also got a game against them. We got a game against San Francisco. So you take care of those. Arizona's not going to go undefeated the rest of the year, right? I mean, right? Right, though? I mean, I would be very surprised by that, but I guess it could happen. But either way, this is where the eyeballs need to go. The division race here, the Rams are in third place right now, sitting just 2 wins out of first and just 1 extra loss than the first place team. So I think we're sitting okay. And again, we have Arizona later this year. They did beat us earlier, but that kind of felt like one of those weird days. I would put a bunch of money on the Rams to win the upcoming game against the Arizona Cardinals when they come to town week 17. But as we talk about the wild card race, of course, Minnesota Vikings are the top wild card team at the moment, sitting behind the Detroit Lions in the division race. They do have the Rams do have the tiebreaker over the Minnesota Vikings if it were to get closer there. Washington sitting at 7-3. Rams don't play Washington this year, so division record, strength of schedule could come into play there. Green Bay Packers sitting at 6-3. The Packers do have the head-to-head against the Los Angeles Rams. That week 6 loss by the Rams. And then now we're talking about teams that are out of the playoffs, fighting to battle on in. San Francisco 49ers, the 4th wildcard team, first team out. Rams currently do have the head-to-head against San Fran, but do have 1 game against them left. That'll be in week 18. Could be some big playoff implications for that game. Number 5, Chicago Bears. The Bears do have the head-to-head against the Rams. They are also 4-5, though, and falling apart. So I would anticipate the Rams will have a better record than the Chicago Bears by season's end, as Caleb Williams and the boys out there just they're starting to struggle a little bit. And it feels like the Rams kind of got burned by getting the Bears early because they were better early. They just keep getting regressing, I guess. I don't want to keep saying it like they're terrible now. They're just running themselves into the ground. Like, but I feel comfortable saying that they are regressing, and Caleb Williams not looking like the guy that we maybe thought he could be. But in fairness, I was always on the Jaden Daniels train. I don't think I was really full force in Rams showcase at that time, but Jaden Daniels is my pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year, and that was even before the draft. And then he went to Washington where they got Eckler and Bobby Wagner and Dan Quinn, and I was like, yeah, dude, lock me in. Yeah, dude. That's a way better situation than Caleb's dealing with. What are you talking about, man? Los Angeles Rams, though, sitting in that 6th spot right now, 3rd team out, 4-5. Seattle Seahawks right behind them, 4-5 as well. Rams do have the head-to-head. We'll get them again later this year. Tampa Bay Buccaneers sitting just behind them as well at 4-6. So division, conference, strength of schedule could come into play here. The Rams do not play the Buccaneers. Let's take a look at some transactions here real quick, as just a couple to touch on. As Logan Brust claimed off waivers by the Tennessee Titans. And I actually took, because I had surgery on Monday, talking about the stitches and all this stuff, and I'm super miserable right now, and my brain is a little bit also fried. So if I'm not making sense, I do apologize about it, but we're just powering through. I missed that Logan Brust got cut or waived, and then I saw him get snagged by the Titans, and it was like, oh, okay. But that kind of ends that experiment. I would anticipate that Logan Brust his time as a Ram is completed now. That because typically, too, what you'll see in a waiving situation, it's kind of a known thing that when a team wants that guy back, you just don't claim him. Let him clear waivers. Let that team get that guy back on the practice squad. So a situation like this, it could have very well been a thing with like, hey, are you guys looking to get him on the practice squad? Nah, not really. All right, we're going to take him then. Yeah, go ahead, dude. Live it up. Go Logan Brust, man. So Logan out there in Tennessee now. Connor McGovern as well claimed off waivers by the New York Jets. So he's also not making his way back around. But that is A-okay. Let's go ahead and before we get into our game preview, we'll take a quick break here in a moment. First, time to talk about today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. UnderdogFantasy.com. It is the place to play if you are a sports fan. You're trying to make Sundays even more sick, dude. You're trying to not only watch touchdowns, but let touchdowns pad your wallet a little bit, man. Underdog's where you need to be going for sure. All right, you think that Matthew Stafford is going to have more than 1.5 passing touchdowns, dude? That's super simple, man. Just do it. You think Kyren Williams, maybe we're going to cut his carries again this week. So going to have 15 or less like he did on Monday Night Football, all right? Maybe you want to hit the lower on Kyron Williams rushing yards, but that is all up to you. Also got the vulture protection, by the way. You select a designated running back to score a touchdown in your pick 'em entry, and then they get vultured. You can rescue your pick. Over 5 million fans are already playing Underdog. And dude, I'm telling you, it's 33 states, including California. You Los Angeles Rams fan, Texas and Georgia included as well. And Underdog, it is the best place to play champions. So sign up, deposit now using promo code SHOWCASE. You get up to $1,000 in bonus cash, which is absolutely incredible. My favorite part of the entire app, how easy it is to navigate, man. I'm an old man when it comes to new apps. I don't want your newfangled apps, all right? Bring me in and just make it super simple. Underdog absolutely nails that. You just I type in LOS and hit search, dude. That brings up the Rams game. Start making them selections right away, dude. That's my favorite part, is the simplicity. Download the app today. Use promo code SHOWCASE. Get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That is promo code SHOWCASE, and you can get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That link will be in the description below. Higher or lower, you make the call on Underdog. Must be 18 or over, 19 or over in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 and over in Colorado for some games, 21 and over in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Full game preview, Rams at Patriots. That is headed your way next. It's right here at Rams Showcase. Welcome back into Rams Showcase. My name is Sheriff Joe Baggs. The Los Angeles Rams sitting at 4-5, back on the road this week. This time in New England. The New England Patriots sitting at 3-7. Game kicks off from Gillette Stadium at 10 a.m. Pacific time. 10 a.m. Pacific time. Make sure you're up early Saturday night. We maybe need to not get so crazy this time around as early 10 a.m., dude. That's so early. This game kicks off on Fox. Adam Amin, Mark Sanchez, Christina Pink on the call. And the zones here, yellow zones as far as the distribution goes, so not a lot of areas, all right? So it's a great weekend to call up some buddies, call up some Rams fans, even some opposing fans. Maybe you got some fans, maybe you got a friend who's a Jags fan, and then there's like a Seahawks fan in there, and then like a Bengals fan. Just get together, dude. Go out and have some fun. Toss back some brews at one of your local bars, man, and catch this game because it's going to be a good one. I feel it in my bones. If you're going to be there, by the way, mid-50s for this game. Could see 60s by the end of the game. Sunny all day with a few clouds making an appearance. For you bettors, Rams are -4.5, -230 on the money line, and our over-under sitting at 44.5. Pants picks for this one. So we do have, we will be rocking the white jersey for this one, meaning those Patriots will be in the blue jerseys. And we've got our pants picks here. I'm going Royal, Peyo's going Royal, and Rams House is going Soul. I think Rams House is just trying to give us a chance here, man, because I'm getting absolutely smoked on the pants picks. I'm doing a terrible job, but it's a fun game that we played that got a little bit less fun this year because the Rams now put it out not just 24 hours out, because that was kind of the point. And now they give it to us super early, usually on Thursdays. So by the time you see this, we usually know. But you know what? That's okay. We make our picks either way. And I will tell you, we don't ever make our picks after the thing has been announced, all right? I will say we're very good about that. All right. Drop your pants picks, though, as, of course, Rams and white jerseys for this one. Injuries and, well, no, not injuries. We're not going to talk about injuries for this one. Injuries mainly because we don't know yet, all right? I have it here. My note is that I want to talk about injuries every week, but it's Wednesday. We just get the initial injury report for this one, so not a lot to get into. We do know that Rob Havenstein may not play in this game. In fact, he's kind of trending not to play in this game, but he does still have a chance. Joe Noteboom is dealing with some stuff as well, so we'll see how his week kind of shakes out. But I would anticipate that Steve Avila and Jonah Jackson will be taking it down on the offensive line as well. But the history of this matchup, this will be the 16th all-time meeting between these two. 2 Super Bowls against the Patriots, both losses for the Rams, unfortunately, and both played on February 3rd. That's a bad day in Rams land, man. Bad day in Rams land. Rams, though, they did win the last meeting. That was in 2020. Before that, the Patriots had won the last 6. Before that, the Rams had won 4 straight. And in fact, The only time in this series that a team did not win at least back-to-back games was just the first two. The Rams lost the first matchup. That was September 29th, 1974, 20-14. Second matchup, the Rams did win that one November 16th, 1980. That was a 17-14 win. Both those games played in New England. The last time the Rams played in New England, it was Goff versus Brady. But the last time the Rams played the Patriots at all, it was Goff versus Cam Newton. The first game for the Rams with Matthew Stafford holding it down at the quarterback spot. Stafford is 1-1 all time against the Patriots, averaging 263 passing yards. One was 262, one was 264. So that average was super easy to find. Big brain in it over here. He also has just 2 touchdown passes against the Patriots. It was in his most recent game, had 2. His first one in 2014 did not have any touchdown passes against the Patriots. And this is also the first time the Rams will be facing head coach Gerard Mayo as the head coach of the New England Patriots. So kind of what we're watching here, Rams coming off of a rough offensive outing, just a rough day all around. Just didn't really seem that we were in our rhythm, especially on the offensive side. Defense did play really well, but offensively, there was just no rhythm to it, and it did feel a little bit like a lot of game planning stuff. When you have Matthew Stafford throwing almost 50 passes and Kyron's only running the ball 15 times, it's easy to spot. I mean, the discrepancy there is very obvious, and it shouldn't take any Rams fan who has been watching this team under Sean McVay a whole lot of detective work to figure out why their offense couldn't get into rhythm when that's the case. We need to have that balance, obviously, but this does tend to happen. I think that Sean McVay does tend to get a little bit pass happy, and then he needs to catch it. So hopefully that's what he's doing literally right now. As I'm talking to you right now, maybe he's in there and he's like, okay, we got to run that. Maybe that's what's happening, man. But going into that game, the vibes are high, maybe too high. Great chance for the Rams to not let last week turn into a full-on midseason skid, as if the Rams were to lose to the Patriots, losing back-to-back games against AFC teams who are very much behind you in standings and rankings and all that stuff, that would be pretty rough. And then, of course, then you would come home against the Philadelphia Eagles, who I think are overperforming their talents, but that's, neither here nor there. We'll kind of talk about that next week. But New England and then home against Philly, these two games are big, and it will tell us where the team is at. Not necessarily where I think that this team is going, but it will tell us where we're at, because coming off of a game like we had against the Miami Dolphins, ideally you would see this team bounce back in a big way and kind of understand that, like, hey, last week we were not on. But if you lose this game as well, then you pair these two in, and now it isn't. That's not just a standalone thing. Now you have 2 games that you're dealing with. But as you kind of look at that, at these games as a grouping, I think that ultimately we'll see the Miami Dolphins game as a little bit of a blip. That was a speed bump. It's like, man, probably should have won that game, but also probably should have beat the Packers. Probably should have beat the Bears. Probably should beat the Cardinals. So we're seeing that a lot already, but also beat the Vikings, who we didn't think that we would beat. Beat the Niners, who we maybe didn't think we'd beat. Like teams like that, we've played some really good games, but we just got to get that consistency, and the offensive line getting healthy. It's going to need some time to get its rhythm back. And I don't think that we need to start Bo Limmer again or Justin Dittich or anything like that. I think we just need these guys to get into their rhythm again, because it's been a while since they've played. And I think that we're forgetting that a little bit. But the Rams should beat the Patriots by all measurements. The Rams are a better football team. That doesn't mean anything is guaranteed, and especially with such a young team and the offensive line still needing to gel and get some health, obviously nothing is guaranteed. But let's take a look at the matchup in this one, as the Rams offense going against the Patriots defense. The Rams offense about middle of the road, as they are 17th in the NFL right now, as the Patriots are the 19th total defense. Passing the football, the Rams top 10 unit, 8th in the league here, and the Patriots defense middle of the road, as they are 16th against the pass. Running the football, the Rams are 26th in the league, so definitely lower than we expect to be there, especially when you got the talent that the Rams have. 23rd ranked run defense, though, for the Pats. Points being put up, Rams putting up almost 21 a game. That's 20th in the league, and the Patriots are giving up 22. That is tied for 13th. Third down, 34.6% for the Rams offense. That's 25th in the league. And the Pats defense giving up 41.3. That is 22nd. So not necessarily killing it in any regard on the Patriots defensive side there. But I will say that the Rams offense, last week is not indicative of what this offense is capable of. And I'm, again, I'll just reiterate, surprised at how many people are just like, oh, our offense is dead. It's over now. Because I'm not on that train, man. I'm not there. It would take me multiple weeks in a row of seeing this offense not be able to get anything rolling at all for me to say that it's dead. But come on now. It's Sean McVay, it's Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams. Like, we've got players here, man. It was just a bad offensive game plan, and I firmly believe that. So the Rams coming off of a lame day on offense. Patriots defense is fine, but not exactly explosive. The Rams do have the opportunity to show that last week does not define the season. And it feels like a lot of fans are letting it define the season, which is fine. Again, never going to tell you how to be a fan, all right? There's no wrong way to be a Rams fan. It's always awesome, okay? But I will say that I do think that we need to look at last week's game as not a game that tells us who this Rams team is. That's a team that we don't play very often. It's a coach that knows us pretty well as his time in San Francisco. So I just think we came in a little bit ill-prepared for that one. The Patriots defense, though, they do have solid players, but none of the names that really just jump off the screen to you. Yannick Ngakoue, they did just pick him up recently. I've always been a big fan of Ngakoue, but I don't even know how much he's really going to get in the game for this one. Best matchup on this, I'm going to go with Avila, Jackson, and Dotson against Devon Godcho and Daniel Ekuale, I think is what it is. The Patriots have some weird names, dude. They're testing me out here this week. That's fun, man. But Avila, Jackson coming off IR, they did seem a little bit rusty. The chances that either is benched in favor for Limmer or Diddich, I just don't see it. I just don't see that happening. They are the more talented players, so I anticipate that they'll just continue to get the reps there. But this isn't exactly the number one defensive tackle combo in the league, so maybe this is a good matchup to get some continuity rolling before a couple of really big NFC matchups that the Rams have the following couple of weeks here. 3 to see on the offensive side of the ball. We'll start with Davis Allen. No word yet on when Big Rig Higgs will be returning, but Davis Allen does seem to be the guy getting the reps right now, taking those reps from Colby Parkinson. Allen has played great in moments in his past, and maybe he just needs to get a little bit more time out there, get some sparks flying, man, because Davis Allen, he has had some incredible plays where he's shown sparks where we're like, hey, this could be a guy, man. This could be a guy, and this hasn't really caught on fully yet, but also for the most of this year, kind of banged up. Dealing with Parkinson coming in, stuff like that, kind of buried in a little bit of a depth chart. Hunter Long was getting a lot of reps as well, so there's obviously all of that. 5 catches for 34 yards isn't anything too crazy. That's what he had last week. But in that game, nothing on the offense was too crazy. So how about we give Davis Allen a little bit of grace, as we can sit here and say 5 catches for 34 yards ain't nothing. But the offense didn't score touchdowns. So last week, not really indicative of what is up with this offense. Kyron Williams, K-Dub, up next. 46 pass attempts from Matthew Stafford, 15 rush attempts for Kyron. Tells you everything you need to know about last week in the Rams against the Miami Dolphins defense. McVay does tend to do this. He gets a little bit run heavy or pass heavy, and then he usually does correct. And usually the following week, we'll see a bit of a run heavy attack by the Rams and Sean McVay. Kyron, though, he was popping off some good runs, but between him and Corum had just over 4 yards a carry, but 17 run calls is just too few, I think, out of these guys, especially when you have an offensive line that's getting guys back from IR. You got to think that they want to get out there and just maul some dudes. So run the ball. Let them do the thing that they do, which is just blow some people back, man, and open up holes for the run game. So I think we need to see some more of that, get those guys into that rhythm. But especially when Matthew Stafford's rocking 46 pass attempts with 0 touchdowns, 1 pick, sacked 4 times. At some point in the game, you got to be like, hey, we're going to run the ball. Like, hey, this drive, we're going to hit it pretty heavy on the ground. We're going to see what happens kind of thing, you know. But I would say look for the Rams to use Kyron a lot against the New England Patriots. Last one up on the offensive side, 3 to see, Puka Nacua. Nacua led the Rams last week with 9 catches, 98 yards, even with a solid stat line, though. It even felt like this connection wasn't even at its best. So that's unfortunate there. Maybe it's just the 5 incompletions that went towards Puka Nacua that's making me kind of think that it's like, this could be better. But it's just how some of those looked. And I'm guessing that 9, 10, and 17, they're going to improve their numbers from what we saw on Monday Night Football. The advantage here, you're only as good as your last game, so it's really hard to gauge this matchup. All right. So the Rams really feel like they have the advantage here, but will we see the same offense that we saw last week? If we do, then this is too even to call. It's too even to call. Straight across. If the Rams can play, though, how we feel like they can play, I think they have the clear advantage. I think that the Rams, based on last week, that is not indicative of how this Rams football team plays football. I mean, that's just it. You know what I mean? So I think ultimately this feels like it's either going to be like the Rams lose 16-6 or like 16 to maybe 10 or something like that, or they're just going to win 42-10. I feel like there's not really any in between. It feels like it's going to happen that way. Verdict, though, I can't really answer right now. Going to need some press conferences as the week goes on. I want to gauge how this team is vibing right now, man. Based on Les Snead in the Sean McVay show, I would say we feel pretty good. I would say it's like, yeah, that's not who we are. Let's show up big this time. An opponent we should beat. So I would say that the vibes are probably going to be a little bit higher, but I do want to wait and see what Kupp's saying, what Stafford's saying, what Nakua's saying, these guys, and what those press conferences kind of look like. Let's flip over to the other side of the football here. We're going to go with the Pats offense versus the Rams defense. Pats offense is dead last in total yards. The Rams defense 22nd. So definitely a solid advantage there. Passing the football, dead last again for the Patriots defense and 22nd for the Patriots offense and 22nd for the Rams defense. Running the rock, the Patriots have the 22nd rush attack. The Rams 19th in stopping the run. Points being put up 16 for the Patriots offense. That's 31st. You mean to tell me there's a team putting up less than 16 points a game? What is this? This is the NFL, dog. What are we doing out here? The Rams, though, giving up a little over 24. That's 22nd. And third down, the Patriots are converting 34.6. That's tied for 25th. And the Rams are giving up 37.3. That is 14th. Didn't really give up a lot against Miami, especially yards-wise. So 238 in total yards given up, 67 rushing yards, and only 171 passing yards. So defense did have a good day. But when you don't score any touchdowns, and your kicker is going 5 for 6, I mean, chances are you're just not going to be really in that game like you want to be. What was it? Oh, man, what year was that? I'm going to be so mad at myself. I can't think about this. It's probably 2006, or was it 2002? Well, it must have been 06. That the Rams and Broncos played in week 1, and Jeff Wilkins hit 6 field goals, and the Rams won. I think that was 18-12, if I'm not mistaken. It was a weird game, but the Rams ended up winning that one. No touchdowns for that one, but that can't happen all the time, man. That's a long time ago as well. But really, this front is still progressing really well. These guys just keep getting better. That's absolutely awesome to see. Secondary felt like it was missing its swag a little bit, but going against a rookie, Drake May, he's certainly better than Brissett, by the way, but by how much? I mean, I think it's not anything too crazy, at least quite yet, but going against a rookie quarterback, I like our secondary in this matchup for sure. Drake May, though, he is progressing. He is getting there, but I think he's just going slower than Jaden Daniels or Bo Nix, but I think like he and Caleb Williams are kind of on like a little bit of a slower progression, which is fine. Some guys just take a little bit longer to progress. That's not a big deal. Playing solid ball, though, especially early in his career. For what he is, which I feel like is a rude comment to say. I'm not trying to be rude. But for who he is, I think he's playing just fine. And I do expect him to get better. Ramondre Stevenson, he can always turn into a problem, though. Rams run D has improved over the last, since the bye week or so. So maybe we'll see that. Going to be a great matchup. Speaking of, best matchup in this one, I'm going Omar Spates and Christian Roseboom against Ramondre Stevenson. Spates and Roseboom are turning into a nice little ILB combo for this Rams defense. The inside linebacker coach, Greg Williams, I think he's doing an awesome job. Roseboom has really kind of come into his own these last few weeks. I've kind of been the supporter for him, but obviously I'm also not blind. I don't have, Roseboom colored glasses on all the time where it's like, yeah, I can see that he's doing a bad job in certain games and stuff, but I also see the potential. And what we've seen out of him the last 2 games is kind of what I've always felt like he can do. He wasn't, but I felt like it was like he's there's something there, man. Like, this dude's good. and it's kind of coming together. We'll see how much consistency he can have with that. Spates, though, doing an awesome job as well. And I guess Spates was on Rams Revealed. I haven't checked it out yet. Hopefully I'll get a chance to do that tonight. But I guess that JB kind of like let it be known, like, the fans love you, dude. And he was like, hey, I guess he didn't know about that. So that's really exciting. I can't wait to watch that and see, because the Rams Revealed is the best thing that the Rams put out. So that's going to be awesome. Definitely be checking that one out. But they'll need another day of showing some progress against a really good back. And if the Rams could just have one of those days where it's just kind of shut down that offense, this feels like if the Rams are going to shut somebody out this year, it's probably this game. You know what I mean? So we'll see. I'm not saying go put money on that or anything, but it's possible, I suppose. 3 to see on the defensive side. We're starting off with Christian Roseboom, man. Christian Roseboom coming in he's coming in the first time. All right, so this, I usually try to make these in my brain, they're a little bit ranked out. Like, I talk about the person I want to talk about first for a reason. Christian Roseboom, he's coming in first because he has been playing so well as of late. He's been playing these last 2 games, incredible ball out of Roseboom. Really cool to see. Stringing together some strong performances. It's cool to watch the fan base kind of turn on him, but in a good way. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of cool to see fans be like, okay, Roseboom, I see it. I see it. You know, I think it's kind of fun. It's fun to see it this way and not just the opposite way where it's like, oh, this guy sucks now. Get him out of here, you know. But it's like, hey, this guy's actually, he's playing decent. So that's kind of fun to watch. It's fun to watch the shift in the fan base. Less missed tackles. He's getting off blocks better, playing well in coverage. Dude's balling right now. It's good to see, man. Next up, Quentin Lake, Captain Q. He's really the anchor of the secondary right now, especially even when John Johnson returns. Captain Q is kind of that guy, but that'll be a nice veteran addition to the secondary for sure. But Lake, he flies around, man. He's making some good pops out there, which I love to see. And I'm looking at him to have a good day against a rookie, because he's going to be tasked to kind of know what Drake May is seeing in that defense and adjusting for it. Jared Verse, you thought I was going to leave him off of here? Absolutely not, dude. The defensive rookie of the year, still killing it. Still absolutely fun to watch. The strip, sack, and recovery versus Tua, absolutely awesome. And the look in his eye, terrifying. Jared Verse is a menace. Right? I'm so glad that Jared Verse is on our team, because if Jared Verse wasn't on our team, I'd probably hate him. But because he's doing this stuff to everybody else for us, big fan. Big fan. Because I also think about that of like, if we had to play Aaron Donald, probably would have hated that guy. You know what I mean? But it's awesome when they're doing it for us. But yeah, that look in his eye, man, all I could think of when I saw his eyes all big running with the football is like, that man is a menace. It's like, he needs to be stopped a little bit. Or not, or just unleash him, dude. Be like, you know what, Jared? Kill somebody today. Just see what happens, man. See what happens. He's well on his way to being elite if he's not already there. Rams absolutely nailed it with this pick. And to have the first round pick since Jared Goff be Jared Verse, and he is already this kind of guy, absolutely love to see it. Look at the advantage here. Pat's offense is overall pretty rough. Even with the young squad on the defense, the Rams just outmatched the Pats on talent level, I think. Again, that doesn't guarantee anything, obviously. But going against a rookie quarterback does make it feel like we're at least even in the experience world. But again, I just feel like the Rams just have the talent advantage against the New England Patriots. Coming off last week, though, I guess the defense will be pretty on this week. I feel like we'll be flying around, because it feels like one of those things where Shula could go into the Rams defense and just be like, you know what? Hey, offense didn't score last week, and neither did we. We scored 4 straight weeks, and we didn't score either. But if we could have scored a touchdown, maybe that could have been a tie game. And I feel like that's going to be kind of the energy of this Rams defense of like, not that they don't trust the offense to do it, but like, okay, well, we can score 2 though, because we did 4 games in a row. So let's just go do that then, you know. But I think clear advantage here. That's the worst defense, the worst offense in the NFL. The Rams do have the advantage in this one. Connections here. Former Rams on the Patriots. We have linebacker O'Shawn Mathis. He is a backup there. And a special teams coordinator, Jeremy Springer. Former Patriots who are on the Rams. We've got Connor McDermott. Tight ends coach and pass game coordinator, Nick Cayley. And senior offensive assistant, Jerry Plinsky. Jeez, dude. I say that name every week because he's been everywhere. He's coached on every team, I think, and with everybody in the NFL, but I screw his name up every time. And offensive line coach Ryan Wendell, former of the Patriots. Some NFL connections, not too many good ones here. We're kind of running thin on the real cool NFL connections. But Jacoby Brissett, the backup quarterback out in New England, played in Indy with the inside linebackers coach Greg Williams that we talked about, in Miami with tight end Hunter Long, in Washington with Cam Curl, Joey Sly, and Antonio Gibson were also there, and he played in Cleveland with John Johnson, also Austin Hooper, Sione Takitaki, and Alex Van Pelt also there. So Brissett's been everywhere. He's been more places than Johnny Cash, dude. It's pretty impressive. Chase Blackburn, I like this one a lot, though. Chase Blackburn, he was a linebacker for the New York Giants, while the special teams coordinator, who's now an assistant special teams coach, Tom Quinn, was the special teams coordinator for New York. So I think that's kind of cool. Our special teams coordinator is basically going against his special teams coordinator as when he was a player. I think that's really cool. College connections for you. Cooper Kupp played at Eastern Washington with wide receiver Kendrick Bourne. Jared Verse and Braden Fisk played at FSU with tight end Jaheim Bell. Steve Avila and Trey Tomlinson played at TCU with O'Shawn Mathis and safety Mark Perry. Byron Young played at Georgia Military College with defensive back Marsalis Dial. And Blake Corum played at Michigan with quarterback Joe Milton. Joe Milton also played at Tennessee with Jalen McCullough and Byron Young. Jordan Whittington played at Texas with Brendan Schuler. Not going to talk about Texas without mentioning my Aggies. Bobby Brown played at A&M with guard Layden Robinson, and Omar Spates played at Oregon State with cornerback Alex Austin. And let's see here. So some milestones that we're kind of keeping our eyeballs on, or that's this one. I went light this week, all right? So Matthew Stafford, he did pass Kurt Warner for 5th most completions in Rams history. He is basically top 5 Rams quarterback of all time, and I feel pretty good saying that. There is, like, the touchdowns is a little bit skewed. Yards, though, he's up there. So, I mean, he's sitting in the pocket there. And needs one more passing touchdown to pass Eli Manning, 10th most all-time in NFL history. And Cooper Kupp needs 1 touchdown reception to pass Elroy Hirsch for 3rd most in Rams history. Rams Patriots, that game going down this Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific time on Fox. Be sure to check it on out and share this video and subscribe if you haven't, dude. Come on. You like this stuff. Fan Quesos, that's next on Ram Showcase. Welcome back in Ram Showcase. I am Sheriff Joe Bag. Let's go ahead and get into our Fan Quesos. Let me just check a few spots here. Make sure that I'm not missing any. None there. Let's head over here. And I don't believe we have too many tonight. We'll plow through these and get some good answers out of here. And then bounce out. Get ready for this game that we got on Sunday. First few coming from Cody on the Facebook page. What's your opinion on holding our offense back what's holding our offense back the last few weeks, especially considering we had multiple attempts to avoid overtime versus Seattle and not just making enough plays Monday? I'm not looking at the Seattle game as like that was a bad offensive day for the Rams. Could we have done better? Yeah, maybe. But also, that's a divisional game, and those are really difficult to gauge as far as like where you're at as a team on like continuity and stuff like that. Miami was just a bad game plan. I think we saw that pretty early. There was a couple, like the first drive for the Rams, it was like, what are we trying to attack here? Like, I remember thinking that. It was like, what are we doing out here, man? I actually didn't get a chance to do a rewatch this time around, unfortunately. So maybe I'll try to do that this week. I mean, obviously the point of having that is so that I can, have a better understanding of the game and I know what I'm talking about and stuff, but I also just like to do it. So I do need to do that. But the Seattle game, man, my rewatch of that, I didn't feel like we did a bad job in that game. I just don't. In Miami, it was just a bad day for us, man. And it was I was kind of prepared for that. I was emotionally kind of prepared that we were going to have a bad day, and I was expecting it to be either home against Miami or in New England. I was just something felt that way to me. And it happened against Miami. So it's unfortunate, but what is holding us back? I think McVay kind of outthought himself in this game, and I think that we played against a coaching staff that does know us. Players know us with OBJ, Jalen, and all that stuff. So I don't know. It was just again, just not our day. I really think that is like the extent of the badness of the Miami game. It just wasn't our day. Next one here from Cody. Is Stafford looking a bit hesitant in big moments? It's not just one player, but I feel like our offense has held us back in multiple games this year. We should have won. It is possible Stafford has taken a step back. Even with the Minnesota game, I just don't feel like he's played great this year. I disagree entirely, actually. I think Matthew Stafford's doing an awesome job. Yeah, he's had some plays and some games where he's maybe not been as on, but I actually disagree, man. I don't think Stafford's having a bad season at all. I think he's done things in games that no other quarterback can do still. So, is he looking a bit hesitant? I don't think so. I think he looks a lot more hesitant when he doesn't have 10 or 17 out there. 10 and or 17 out there. I think he's a little bit more gun shy. But the slinger comes out, dude, when 10 and 17 are running routes. So I'd be really interested to hear more of your side on this and what you're seeing out of Stafford and why you think he's doing such a poor job. And I've run over a good chunk of my questions already, and I will say a lot of them kind of hit the same trends, and I'm going to answer them all the same way. So yeah. Speaking of, next one here this one's coming from Brett. Should Limmer be starting? No. Do you think we will be drafting a quarterback in early rounds this year? Also, no. To kind of expand on that a little bit, should Limmer be starting? He's a 6th-round rookie who did as much as we needed him to do this season, all right? But he is not better than Steve or Jonah. He's just not. That's not to down Bo Limmer, because he's done an awesome job. And coming in as a 6th-round rookie, he's done more than we could have asked for. Like, him to come in and do a decent job like he did, I mean, what else could we ask from him? You know what I mean? And then Digich coming in as an undrafted and him playing well at left guard, that's absolutely awesome. Simple fact is, though, Steve Avila and Jonah Jackson are both better. They are the better players, but they came off of injury, and I'm concerned at how little patience we are giving these guys to get their continuity back. When the guys that were in, yes, they were playing well, and yes, they had continuity. They had been able to play with each other for a while. The offensive line is a position grouping that you do need continuity in. We saw it a bunch of times in St. Louis where we couldn't keep our offensive line together, and all of those years were god-awful. And every year that the Rams' offensive line has been awesome, 2018, 2021, those years are great. You know what I mean? So I think that ultimately, get these guys in there, get Jonah in there, get Steve in there, and when we get Big Rob back, then we finally have our starting 5 together, and then give them a week or two to kind of like, okay, now we're getting loose in here, man. Because coming off of injury, again, I can't understand how we are so critical of these guys coming back off of injury right away, where we're just like, nope, get them out of there, and it's like that. We gotta give them a minute, man. Like, so I don't know, and maybe I'm being too aggressive there. Maybe I'm giving too much leniency. Let me know if you think I'm giving too much leniency to these guys coming off of IR and then just expecting them to be top notch immediately. I don't know, man. Let's see here. Just gonna plow through these ones. Last 5 here, coming from Rams house. Whose house? Let's see. How have you changed watching a Rams game over the years? Like, how did you previously watch a Rams game, and how do you watch it now with all the football knowledge you now have? That's a really interesting question, actually. I'm not sure how to answer that entirely right now. I do see that there's a bit of a part 2 here, but I would say that ultimately I watch it as a unit now. I watch the plays unfold. I like doing that. I like watching the plays unfold. And just kind of seeing where they're trying to attack and what the defense is trying to take away. And I like that kind of thing. So, hard question to answer as far as how do I watch differently? Because I don't think I really watch that differently. I think I just understand differently. Like when Matthew Stafford gets sacked, I don't like, back in the day, it'd be like, Mark Bulger, what are you doing? Get rid of the ball. But it's like now it's like, oh, well, that was a terrible block by right guard, and there was nobody open. So yeah, that was probably the best bet, actually. You know, so I think I just understand a little bit more as far as that goes. It says part 2, kind of related, but when we are on defense, do you watch a particular player, or do you focus on the opposing quarterback or running back? for me, when AD was playing, I'd mainly watch him and kind of flicker between him and the quarterback and running back. Now I kind of watch verse and flicker back and forth between the quarterback and running back. What do you watch? Does this make any sense? It does make perfect sense, actually. And I watch, again, the unit. So I kind of watch a bunch of different things. I'm trying to watch the pre-snap stuff, and I try to look at the matchups. So like if on the left side of the offense's formation, there's three receivers, but we only have 2 guys over there. It's like, okay, well, zone and disadvantage, like stuff like that. But then I'm kind of trying to see like, okay, as soon as the ball snapped, do we have somebody going over there? Do we have a safety coming down? Do we like who's doing what over there kind of thing? And I like to watch the unit and what are we trying to do? Who's coming? Who's backing off into coverage and who's winning one-on-ones? So I'm looking at that defensive line because especially when you're watching the TV broadcast, you can't watch the safeties the whole time down the field. So a lot of times I will kind of like I'm seeing who's coming and then kind of see where the receivers are going and stuff like that, and then kind of see are the Rams in zone, are they in man? You can usually tell with the linebackers; they're very telling. And then looking at the one-on-ones, which is where you got Verse absolutely murdering souls out here. You got Byron Young embarrassing people out here. You got Kobe Turner conducting up some destruction, dude. And then Braden Fisk, who's like such an underrated person already in such an early portion of his career because of Jared Verse and Kobe Turner and Byron Young. Like he's just getting so overshadowed. But if he was with, like let's go back in time, Tyoka Jackson and and Tommy Bolly and stuff like that. It's like maybe not Tommy, but Tyoka Jackson. Like if he was like lined up with him, he would be the guy. You know what I mean? So, why am I trying? I'm blanking on a name, dude. I'm blanking on a name. Who did Tyoka play next to? Gosh, man, I can't. I'm mad at myself for not being able to think of a guy that played for the Rams like 2003. That's so stupid. But yeah, I try to look at the one-on-ones too and see who's winning those, man. But yeah, I'm kind of bouncing all over the place because when we're on offense, I'm looking at like the offensive line. I'm looking at what Coop's doing over here, where he and Puka are in relation to each other, where their routes start to take off, and what are they playing off each other and stuff like that. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways I watch, but that's also why I like to watch the all 22s and the game again because then you kind of look for different things. So when I'm watching the game the first time, entertainment value. First and foremost, I am a Rams fan. I'm not necessarily at the bar slamming Pacificos trying to create content. I'm at the bar slamming Pacificos trying to high-five my bros when the Rams score touchdowns. I'm a fan first and foremost. And then that's when, so I kind of already have an understanding of the game. And then when I get the rewatch in, I'm kind of looking for things specifically. And it's those little things. Nick Hampton getting a swatted ball against Seattle and stuff like that. Like those little tiny things where you're like, okay. Like just taking mental notes there. And I'm also not drinking beers when I'm doing the second watch through. So I'm a little bit more, got my wits about me a little bit and can pay attention to some more things. Next one from Rams House. Will we see Reeder be a starter again for this Rams team? Spates and Roseboom are balling out at the moment. Yeah, I think Reeder's lost his spot. I would be very surprised, actually, if Reeder came back in and took his job back from Spates. The Spates and Roseboom combo is the combo, man. It's the Krusty Krab song came into my head. The pizza song. The Spates and Roseboom combo is the combo, whatever. Next one. Am I alone thinking that if we just got our offense to click, that we could be really, really good? Sidebar, I'm going to jump in on your question. I know there's a lot more to this. It was one game. One game of not clicking. I don't think that there's like, if we can get this if we can get this thing to take off, it was like, okay, was that a speed bump or not? That's where my brain's at. Anyway, keep on going here. We could be really, really good. Maybe make a deep playoff run? Question mark. We have the guys, and McVay is one of the best when it comes to running an offense. You'd have to think the offense starts clicking considering we have guys like Stafford, Puka, Kupp, D-Rob, Kyron, etc. What do you think our ceiling is when the offense starts clicking like the defense is? Top notch, dude. We're one of the better teams in the NFL if this offense can get it rolling. Because in fairness, I will say this. I think we've had one bad week, and we're getting an extreme overreaction. I truly do think that. And then also, I will say that we have not yet seen this offense at its best. So I think that maybe are we looking at other years to compare this Rams offense to? I think that's my question for people. Let me know. But yeah, I think if the offense can be at its peak and this defense can continue to do what it's doing, we're one of the best teams in the league. And it is, if that does all come together, that perfect storm, we got to be thinking Super Bowl, I think. And it says, are you with the rest of the Rams fan base and thinking we should put Limmer back out there instead of Jonah Jackson? Nope, I am not. You could tell that the O-line just wasn't working as one cohesive group, which makes sense. It does. It makes perfect sense. These guys just came back. 60% of that line just came back from IR. Let's give them a minute, dude. Give them a minute. Do you think with more reps that Jonah will be fine? Yes, I absolutely do. He hasn't looked that impressive even before the last game, in my opinion. Week 1? I mean, I'd have to go look at it, but that was a while ago, man. But maybe that's just due to lack of reps and continuity. Yes, it absolutely is. What did you see on your All-22 rewatch? Have not done that yet. And actually, you're kind of making me want to go through it again because I do need to look more at the offensive line and see kind of what happened. But again, initial watch on that, it was like, yeah, they're just rusty. I mean, I'm not worried about them. I'll be worried about them if they look like this, like they look like this against New England and then Philadelphia and then in New Orleans. And then I'll be like, okay, hold on. Hold on, everybody, but that would be the extent of that. Next one here, and what would it be like sharing a room with Kyron Williams? Dude, probably pretty boring. I don't think Kyron he wouldn't like to share a room with me. He would make it be bunk beds, and he would take the top bunk, and then he would ignore me. He would go up there and, play his PSP. Is that the new, what is the... Oh man, I'm not a video gamer. I haven't played video games in a long, long time. Handhelds. There's a handheld that's very popular. I'm going PSP still. I feel like that's not it. I feel like it's a Nintendo one now. But PSP was if you had that when I was in high school, dude, you were the man. That's good stuff. Yeah, but he wouldn't like sharing a room with me. Rams and Patriots. That is going down this weekend. Hopefully, we get this offense looking a lot better than it did last week to calm this fan base down a little bit. Think that we are overreacting. That's just my opinion. I truly think that. I think that this Rams fan base is a little bit finicky right now. We have been a little bit spoiled over the last few years. We got a little bit down on ourselves at 1-4. We got a little hyped up back to 4-4, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh crap. Oh no, we suck again, kind of thing. And it was like, no. One bad day against a team historically we've done terrible against. We've only beat the Miami Dolphins twice ever. So I think we just need to rein that back in a little bit. We got the New England Patriots this week. Should be able to take this team down. Then come back home against the Philadelphia Eagles. Of course, we'll have your full game preview for that next week. If you have not yet already, subscribe to Ram Showcase, the podcast version, available everywhere. Spotify, all that good stuff. YouTube as well. And Facebook for video version. Yeah, dude. Gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine, dude. Everybody just relax. Everybody just calm down. Okay. That's going to do it for me. I am Sheriff Joe Baggs. It says Ben Ram Showcase on Sports War Radio and the Fansided Network. For those of you who aren't Rams fans, our thoughts and prayers are with you. For those of you who are Rams fans, thank you so much for watching, and go Rams.